Welcome around the Workstand. We have a fun topic today. We're going to talk about paid Google ads and our paid ads team. And so with me today is Matt Viara, who leads that team. Hello, Matt.
Hello.
Well, tell us about you before we get started into the details of what is, frankly, probably the fastest growing part of our agency work. Where'd you come from? How'd you get started in bicycles and end up here running a successful ads team?
Well, I had my first sort of bit of bike lust when I was in my early teens. Got in, had a paper route, got into reading mountain bike action and souping up my rock hopper. And bikes have always kind of been right there. I grew up as mountain biking was growing up. So that was kind of my core focus, learning how to mountain bike and exploring the woods, being outside. Worked in golf and ski for a long time when I was in high school and beyond. And then right around, I think it was 98, I moved to Boulder, Colorado and got a job at University Bikes and wanted to be a mechanic because I was okay at fixing bikes, but they thought I'd be better suited for the sales floor based on my level of knowledge. Worked there during the Lance Effect years and loved it, and went on to work at a couple more shops. I moved back east to Maine, worked at bikeman.com, Bass Cycle and Ski here in Maine. And that's where I sort of started doing e-commerce sales and learned about Google ads. Went back to school in my 30s, got a business administration degree with a focus in marketing, dabbled a little bit more in Google ads with that through some cool programs that Google had. And then went back to work at some more bike shops and then kind of found my way into marketing using the Google Ads experience. And through that, ended up working as a consultant with what was then Smart Etailing to help them grow their paid search business. That was about 6 years ago. They had about maybe 15 clients at that time. Mm-hmm. And now we are at 140 clients, and myself and my team of 3 are helping bike shops all over the U.S. and Canada get found online for local stuff or get found online for e-commerce stuff.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
And 3 other folks, so a total of 4 folks on the team, right? You, Greg, Nan, and Allison.
That's right.
I believe the only Google Ads team in the nation, maybe the world, that has a former national champion who held 3 national champion jerseys at one time. So there you go.
Yep, there's that for sure. And then Greg grew up in a bike shop and has been in the bike business forever. Dan worked at Ascend with Trek for a long time and he's the longest standing member of the paid search team. So plenty of bike shop experience and bicycle experience on the team.
Yeah. And Greg was here at the company for quite a few years before moving on the team. Allison too. Allison worked in the CS client success for a while too. Yeah. So great experience. It's fun to work. I do occasionally sell those products and help people find that. So good team. And it's been wonderful to watch it grow because it really has grown from, like you said, 10 or 12 or 15 clients to well over 100. So it's exciting. Yeah. As we get started with that, give us the high level overview of what the team does. How do we leverage, because Google ads and or what people still to this day will refer to as AdWords, all the things that's been called over the years is a pretty broad program. What parts of it do we leverage at a high level? And then we'll get into the details. But if somebody just wants to know the elevator pitch of what your team does and the way we leverage those tools, what would that pitch be?
I look at what our team does as making your bike shop, depending on your needs, we will help you leverage Google Analytics, Google Ads, and Google Merchant Center to their fullest potential. We can help you in a local capacity to help you be found local for certain products or services, general searches, or we can help you grow your e-commerce business via Merchant Center and your products. So we can help you sell, a state over or a coast away. It's pretty straightforward the way we see it, but we work in it every day. It's probably a little more complicated than that, but we'll get into that. So
isn't everything when you know nothing about it. So
right,
yeah,
exactly.
Hopefully we shed some light on that. But we do break things down. We'll talk about this, but we have what we call a local focused program and versus a full service program. So like you said, whether it's right there or state away or across the country, we can do that. We do break things apart into product versus awareness. And that's, why do we do that? Why wouldn't everybody want everything?
Well, yeah, so awareness is going to be, an awareness ad is text, keyword targeted text ads. So people come in with these preconceived notions that We want to be found for this keyword. So like that's the search ad space. So that's awareness. And the point of it is to drive people to your store when they're searching for your products and services, generally speaking.
Mhm.
And then when you look at the product side, that's anything that your Workstand website can send every product that's on your website to Google to be used in free listings, which are free ads. They're a little further down the page, but you can get some play there, or via paid ads for products. So it's going to, when they click on those ads, it takes them to a product page on your website. They're searching for Trek Marlin. We can get you, a click for that bike.
So it's different intent, and we break it apart that way based on making sure we meet the customer where they are and the way they're trying to search.
Right. And, whatever the shop's budget is, whatever their needs are, we have something to do. Pretty much anything you can do with Google Ads, we can help a bike shop do it at a pretty high level.
Yeah, and I think super important point, not all about online sales.
No.
It's certainly got a lot to do with driving traffic into the store and capitalizing on what we do as a company with the website and the catalog and how people will search for what they want to buy and get them into your store versus letting some other player catch it beyond what you can do with organic search.
Yeah, I mean, we work on 140 accounts and everyone has a little bit different take on what it is that their bottom line needs are, what their budgets are, what their brands are, everything. We take it all into consideration and we really have made a reputation of being, true partners in terms of helping you promote yourself digitally.
Outstanding. All right. Well, let's get into those details. You and I are doing, I think, very well because we both have a tendency to dig too deep too soon. So that's a good overview. Thank you for taking the time to do that. As we dig in, where would we start? When I talk about this, with a lot of stores, I tend to start with the local aspect of it. So what's the first step as we start to really dig into these programs that we leverage with Google?
Yeah, I think the thing that me and my team do the most on in the last few years, since we added this little bit of functionality, is the local side of things, primarily the local inventory ads. One of the blind spots we had in the early years was if you have a bike in stock in store, but it's not shippable, we didn't have a way to advertise that to someone who was near your store that might be searching for it. I don't leave the house without checking that it's in stock at Target, or I do a lot of near me searches. I'll type in brand model near me and it'll give me my options and I will confirm it's in store. I might buy it online then, or I might just go right in store. So we weren't able to do that for bike shops in the beginning. And that is what we are able to do now. And we see we get all the data points. You can see what the search terms are that are firing it. You can see which products are getting the most traffic. We can control how aggressive we are all the way down to the item level, all under the hope that we're going to drive people into your store when they're like, I just want this today. Mm-hmm. Let's make sure we get that product in front of them and they know that, the shop right down the street has that. And these ads only show in about a 25-mile radius of your store. So these are all people it's not about clicks to the website to buy right then. It's about, they have it. They might not even click the ad. They might see that you have it and come in. We hear that from retailers all the time. I saw online you have this. Well, I did a Google search and it said it was in stock in store. Well, did you click through on the ad and check it out? No, I just saw the ad. And they go right into the store and there you go. That person's on your doorstep looking for something that you have.
And that's a product focus.
That's a product focus, yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When you said Merchant Center a few times, that's where everything product focus as it relates to Google funnels itself through Merchant Center one way or the other. And that's part of what has to be set up in the beginning in order to consume that data from your Workstand website.
Yeah. Should I go a little bit into the details there?
Well, no, I think because Merchant Center, people ask, how hard is this to set up? Well, on the Workstand side, very simple. You just poke, save, done. Merchant Center, more complicated. So I think it's just important that consumers need to know there's a bunch of things in Merchant Center. We use some specific things, and it's complicated to set up, but your team's really good at it. I don't know how deep we want to go. Is there something you think's useful without complicating things? I find Merchant Center quite complicated.
And it is. We know we often get asked, like, why isn't there a help doc to help us do this easily? Because it's not easy. It's very, it's very difficult. It starts often as just like, do you even know the logins? You have existing Google My Business profiles. Like, are the admins lined up between that? Are they linked properly? Yeah. We know how to we'll do a screen share with you and walk you through the process. If you can do is get on a Google Meet with us, we will walk through the process and make it a lot simpler than it is. I think I've had one person who came to us and was like maybe 95% of the way there. And we were like,
Yeah.
okay, we'll just put a little bit of polish on this and you're good. But almost everybody is completely in the wrong
Yeah.
end of Merchant Center trying to get it set up. So
And that's the hard part. There's just a lot in there, and there's a lot that you can set up and feel like you've set things up, and really you've really done nothing more than help Google. And we really want to focus on the local business. So I was going to say I haven't yet met anybody that got it on their own. It doesn't mean it can't be done. We have a lot of sharp customers. That's good. So Merchant Center is important. We get that set up. That's a local focus based on product. That's awesome. Whether you're shipping products or not, you want local customers trying to buy the things you have in your store to be able to find you. This is a great tool for that.
exactly.
There's also there's a local awareness focus as well too, though, right? So even if you have additional desires and things you want to win, or you just don't, whatever, the product thing just isn't your thing, tell us about local awareness ads and how that works and what we do with clients for that.
Okay. And an important thing to remember, we have full service, full feature, full service and local for product and awareness. We call it local because it's less expensive management wise. And it includes one campaign. So local product includes one local shopping campaign. And then local awareness includes one local search ad campaign. And these campaigns are great because these campaigns are tied to your Google My Business page. So we can actually, when you search for, these are for like near me searches, bike shop near me, bike service near me, suspension service near me, bike category near me. But they're very general terms for people either shouting into their phones or for people that just like, I don't even know where the bike shops are in town. I just want a bike shop near me, or I just need to get the kids' bikes tuned up before vacation. They don't have it. They don't even care. They have no idea who the bike shop players are in their market, but you can be that if you have these ads. And what it'll do is it'll show a text ad, but because it's tied to your Google My Business listing, it can also show your ad in the top spot in the map pack. We've all seen that. You get the search results and there's that little map pack and you see the little dots on there and you can be the top one. It'll say sponsored. And when somebody clicks through on that, they can then interact with your website. They can click through your website. They can click for directions. They can click to call, especially very important on a mobile device for directions and calling. And we can measure those clicks. So they're great ads. They capture those sort of uninformed consumers in your market, and it gives them a way to interact with you, and they give you that priority treatment in that super important Mac pack.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, there's a lot that can happen organically or what people refer to as SEO, but you just don't have control over it. You can do a really good job, and having a Workstand site is a great step. Having your Google business listing active and updated is a great step. But we're talking about beyond that. We're talking about getting preferential treatment based on providing the data and paying for the ads, right?
Right. And for general searches, these aren't, if someone searches for your shop's brand name and they know it accurately enough, you'll probably get top billing in the map pack. They probably won't even show anybody else. But when they're searching generally and they're just trying to show the user the options, this gets you to the top of the heap as the best option.
Cool.
Or as the first option.
Yeah. And you mentioned basically this difference between local and full service.
Right.
What's the next step if we're, and this happens a lot where people are Google curious. And so we get them into this local awareness thing and they go, that really worked. Then we do some local product work and that really works. And they're moving more product that they have invested in inventory in the store. And then the logical next question is, all right, well, how do we expand? Is that where the full service part comes in, when that step is, okay, let's get away from just local. Let's see if this same premise works broader.
Exactly. As soon as there's a need for additional campaigns, we're going to, like on the awareness side, someone's like, well, we're having a sale next week. And how do we promote that sale? We can do a display ad, which is an image ad that we target towards audiences. So you could say, I have a great landing page on my website for our big sale next week. And I'm setting one up right after this podcast today. We want to run it on the weekend. We want to spend $50 a day. We want to target 15 miles around our store. The audiences we're going to target with that are going to be people that Google knows that are cycling enthusiasts, people that Google knows are in market for bikes and accessories they're actively researching to buy, and then people that have been to our website in the past, a remarketing list. Mm-hmm. And we'll spend that $50 a day. We'll get some image assets. A lot of times I get them right from the landing page, put them all into a nice little image a little image ad with some ad copy that's related to the sale, set the bids, set the budget, and turn it on and off as needed. And you saturate the area right around your store where people are on weather.com or people.com or just out on the web. You can show them an image ad and increase awareness. It's not even, and that's not even about clicks. It's just about being like, oh,
there's a sale.
Jim's Wheel Barn is having a sale this weekend. Great. So that's a display ad. That's one type that you can do. And then there's also, if you wanted to do video ads, or if you wanted to do, there's this type of search ad called a dynamic search ad. That's another ad that we do. We won't go into the weeds on that. Local inventory ads have kind of taken over for that, but it's still an ad that some of our clients run just because they're just like, we want to be everywhere. That's a great be everywhere ad. Mm-hmm. But display, and then especially video, if you can get video assets made, that is something we're really excited about. The hard part is getting an asset. But if someone's got a 4K camera in their pocket, and almost all of us do these days.
We all do.
There's free video editing tools, and I've seen some really amazing stuff that people have created, and we're able to get tens of thousands of views on people pre-roll on YouTube ads. We've all seen that.
Those are the ads that you're going to watch a video about whatever.
Yep.
And that plays just before that.
Yeah, and you have 5 seconds of their captive audience. They got
to watch it.
They've got to watch it. And we find often, like if it's like under 30-second long video, it's amazing. Like 70 to 75% of the people watch it all the way through. So pretty cool. And
then when we talk about full service product, is that kind of the same effect as the local product, just broader, or we're including additional products? It could include warehouse items as well, right?
Yes, exactly. Well, so local inventory ads is only for in-stock, in-store products. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we'll have someone say, well, we want to advertise all the products that we can get for people, within 50 miles of our store, just to increase some awareness, as long as it's shippable on your website. And an item can be both. You can have a bike that you could ship, but that's also, in stock. So you can hit it from both sides. But that will, once you can't go outside of 25 miles with items that aren't shippable. So this allows you to, do like a regional awareness campaign for awareness. I'm throwing words around and getting at cross purposes. You can advertise online shippable products a little bit further than 25 miles. And it's not even necessarily under the guise of having somebody buy it online to pick up in store. Again, it's just about like, oh, they have that. Staying front of mind with people. And then what really is that the full feature product is for is now it's like, we want to do e-commerce. What do? We try and we look at what your product mix is. We look at what your budget is. We work with you on like making sure you're competitive for shipping, kind of filter the products just right. Take all of that into mind and we'll either recommend like a regional, like 3-state campaign, or a one coast to the other campaign, or if you're central, or if you have enough budget, you could do national. A lot of times we recommend starting with regional and seeing how we do, seeing how your processes internally do. And that's what can grow you into an e-commerce player, where we have people that spend almost $30,000 a month on ads. They buy for e-commerce and they're all in. That's full feature product, is because you're trying to almost build another, like you have a digital store. Like look at the ad spend as like the rent on your digital store, because it is a sizable investment, and it's going to be a sizable investment to process these orders. But we know it works. We've done it for numerous bike shops on our product.
Yeah, that's the exciting part, is when we see a store get there where that part of the business equals one of their physical store locations, or begins to approach that. So that's exciting stuff. But I do think it's important that you don't have to think quite that big, and you certainly don't have to think that big right away. It can just be, as you said earlier, where the reason to move from what we call the local focus to full service is just because you want to do multiple campaigns and be specific about different things. So
right.
I love how scalable it is, because it can be, frankly, like you said in the very, very beginning, it could just be that we help you get merchant centers set up. And that's the thing you invest in, so that you can take advantage of Google's free listings. But usually when you see how well that works, when that moves the needle, and it's not going to change your world, but it will definitely move the needle enough to notice. And then we can step into local product and/or local awareness and just keep taking those steps. So, I mean, I think I'm trustworthy, but I hate for people to have to just trust what I say. We can help show them that in stages along the way.
That's what I love about SEM and pay-per-click advertising, is that I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I can't show you the value in the data for.
Yeah.
So it's great.
Let's define that term, SEM versus SEO. So SEO, search engine optimization, SEM, search engine marketing.
Yes.
SEM's the paid part. That's where we're paying for ads and for placements and to give ourselves better positioning than organic can alone. And I think it's worth noting, Google's what, a $4 trillion company? Some ridiculous. No, Nvidia's $4 trillion. Google's a few trillion. They didn't get that way giving everything away. 5 or 8 or 10 years ago, there were 12 or 13 organic listings on a search result page. Was what, 2 or 3 now? Everything else is either you pay Google for it or it's a Google property. So on one hand, you hate to say, well, it's a pay to play. You got to pay Google for this, and you don't have to do anything. But it becomes a heck of a tool. And like you said, we can show the data that says, okay, if you invest this way, this is what the expectation can be. And certainly after we've had it for a quarter going, you get to just see the real data, your own real data. This is what your inventory mix and your market can yield with this kind of an investment.
Yeah, we have a pretty good sense of what's going to work. I mean, the market's going to be the market, and sometimes it's going to be boom times, and sometimes it's going to be not so boom times. But we're able to sort of look in the data and, make sense of what's happening. Sometimes they're not like in the current market, it's not always the most fun conversations, but we can help you make the right choices to make the conversations more fun and sell more stuff.
Yeah.
But
sell more stuff. That's the part I like. Sell more stuff. All right. Well, that's good. I think that's a great a batch of descriptions on what's being done. What are we've talked about the number of clients, but I mean, you guys have driven some significant revenue for Workstand clients. Give us a little recap of that. Just, I mean, past performance is not an indicator of future performance kind of thing, but I mean, what kind of numbers are we driving off of what kind of budgets that we're seeing?
Well, we focus a lot on the metric. Is kind of the king metric in our space is ROAS, return on ad spend. And so we look at return on ad spend as a function of directly attributable sales to ads clicks. And then we also look at it as a function of whole site sales, because you're going to see there's 3 primary channels: direct, organic, and then the paid ads. You're going to see lift. You start spending more on ads, you're going to get people involved with your site when they're in the decision process earlier, and then they may come back on a different device. They may not even come back on the phone. I mean, we can't track most users. I mean, sometimes you can, depending on what browser they're using. They're going to come back on a laptop. They'll be on the bus looking at that bike, and then they'll go home that night or in the office at lunch, and they'll buy that bike on a different browser. And we won't be able to track that, but you'll see that sale counted because they'll know who you are. They'll go, I'm going to go to jimsbikebarn.com and buy the bike from him at lunch today. But they just went direct to the website and typed your URL in or typed it into the Google search bar, and it came up organically and they clicked through onto you. So we're trying to have a rising tide, and a whole site ROAS that's healthy is in the 1,500 to 2,000%. That's like a real high performing e-commerce website, somebody that's selling bikes, higher dollar items, a little bit on the lower, maybe 1,000 to 1,500 if you're more about P&A and apparel and things like that. And then in terms of directly attributable ROAS, if you're a high performer and you're in, it's in season, we're looking at about 1,000% plus ROAS. Usually that's going to be someone selling bikes. If you're getting more P&A and apparel, anything over 500 is pretty solid. And with enough budget, and this is how it usually goes, like you alluded to, like you start small and then you slowly build. It's like, you're doing okay handling all the orders. Great. Like you like, this feels profitable to you and you're happy with this. You're using things like supplier fulfillment and everything feels good. Let's ramp it up. I mean, our client that spends the most started at $50 a day on a national campaign years ago. And now they're spending almost $1,000 a day and doing great. And they've slowly scaled it up. Just take some time.
Cool. Let's get into a couple of questions that typically come up. And you've alluded to budgets, but in fees, I mean, we do professional management. We get paid. I am always confident telling people that our fees are frankly maybe a little too low. And it's not a magic thing and it's not a favor to anybody. It's just that this part of our business is an augmentation to the work we do because we only work with Workstand clients. But let's talk about the fees. I know it's a lot of difference, but just as an example, and I'll link to the Google page we have with all the fees on it. But if somebody's curious about this, they've never done this kind of thing, we've got the setup for Merchant Center, which is if we're doing the local part, which often we do start with that's a $500 setup fee. We have a discount of 50% if you're an agency client. So if you're on maintenance or marketing, you get a 50% discount. what's the fee for the management of the ads? And then what kind of budgets? Because it takes a certain amount of money. I mean, you can give Google anything, but we want a certain amount. Walk us through that initial step. Once we do the setup part and somebody says, I want local product ads, how does that work?
Okay. You want local product ads. Just any ad that we manage, whatever the ad spend is that you spend on it, we charge 10%. Doesn't matter how many different base rates you have. It's 10% of ad spend always. Local inventory ads are $125 a month base fee. Local awareness ads, $125 a month base fee. And then full service product and full service awareness are just $250. So it just doubles it. It's really straightforward. When you're paying for full service, there's no setup fees. We don't charge you setup fees. There's no contracts. You can have as many campaigns as you want. But then it comes back to budget. We always like to avoid, one of my favorite sayings is you don't want to be 5 inches deep and 5 miles wide with your ad budget. So a local like any baseline, almost any campaign you run, you want to have at least $20 a day in a campaign. So if you had a local awareness campaign and a local product campaign at $20 a day, and then that would give you $250 a month in base rate, $125 for each. So what's that? 4 times 30, so $1,200. So around $1,500, you could have local awareness and local product ads, and then plus 10% of ad spend. So it'd be maybe a little bit more than 1,500, but you could be in great shape. That's probably the most common setup that we have. Mm-hmm. If you're talking about full feature product and you want to do a PMAX campaign, at least $50 a day for a regional or national campaign. And it goes up from there based on the scope of what we're trying to do and how things are going. And then on the awareness side, depends on how many different types of campaigns you want. If you want to run an extra awareness search campaign. Again, anytime you add a campaign, just think $20. You add a display campaign, even in the short run for sales, there's no setup fees or anything like that, but you're going to want to have at least $20 a day to have that campaign get some play and be beneficial. Otherwise, I mean, in the past, we've had people want to do 5 or 10 and we're on a budget, and it's like, I'd rather have you make a choice and put the money in a good ball so it's actually effective, as opposed to just kind of dipping a toe in all over the place. It's just not effective.
Yeah. But either way, you and the team will guide people through that. We'll talk about goals just like we do every other way we market. What's the goal? What are we trying to do? What's the investment you're willing to make? And not just in money. They need to be able to, not a lot, you guys do the heavy lifting, but meet with you on a monthly basis, talk about results, make sure we're seeing what we need to see in the store.
Yep.
So it's full service always from the standpoint that the team's there to guide somebody through this stuff and you're not alone. And I think the other thing too is no surprises. We're not going to start campaigns or start things that cost money without the client knowing what's coming with that.
Right. And you have a dedicated rep that's always available via email. And depending on your ad spend and needs, we can have, sometimes people have a meeting every 2 weeks. Some people have one every month. Sometimes it's just some emails back and forth. It's whatever works for you, but
we'll find the right spot.
We will.
And you said earlier, no contracts. So we don't do contracts, but tell me if this is what I always tell people when I'm working with it. There aren't contracts, but it also takes time to set these things up.
Yeah.
It takes time for the machinery to do its thing. So I usually tell people at least think of this as a quarter, 3 months to get things rolling, and you can make very good decisions at that point. Is that fair?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Good.
Absolutely. And on anything e-commerce related, it uses algorithmic bidding. And you need conversions for the algorithmic bidding to really do its thing, and it takes time for it to spool up. Sometimes we'll see spike and fade. Sometimes we'll see a slow ramp up. But as long as after 3 months we're getting a little bit of up and to the right and we're seeing growth across traffic channels, that's our goal. We need some time to do that.
Yeah. One of the things that comes up, a question that comes up, I understand why it comes up, and maybe I'll do what I've been doing is tell you how I do it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Because you think I'd know all this stuff, but the truth is, as with everything in the world these days, these programs, the use of them, how they're effective changes throughout time. So one of the questions that comes up is, Workstand has a lot of stores. How do you work with multiple stores in the same market? Sometimes they feel like somehow there might be disadvantage before already working. And what I usually tell them is, well, how do you have a store in the same market? You've got a different staff. You've got different branding. You may carry different brands. You may focus on different categories within those brands. That's the same things that will differentiate you in an ad program. Is that a fair way to say that, or how do we do it? Because we do have a lot of clients in similar markets.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody could run. We look at it like anybody can run Google Ads. We just are able to help you run it on your platform. On this, all of us are on the same platform. We know that platform like the back of our hand. Anybody could help you run ads, but we know your platform the best. We know the bike business the best, and we don't share information. We're not like we don't run competitor campaigns. Like we're never. I've had people ask us to do it, and I've told them I'm really not comfortable doing that. We're not going to run a campaign that explicitly targets another competitor by the name of their store. You could both be selling the same product, both might be marketing it, but we don't, we operate, it's all siloed. Like we really don't even touch that. Some areas have a lot of bike shops and it's tough in those markets, but we will help anybody out that's on our platform.
Good. Awesome. All right. Well, that's a lot. Anything we didn't cover that you hear from the team is a hot topic or something we ought to bring up?
I think the thing that I always find is most helpful in the long run to clients, especially ones that have tried to run their own ads for a spell, is that we're in it every day. So we know where all the cheese is hidden and we're able to effectively manage Google Ads better than somebody that goes in and checks it once a week. We monitor your budget. We're on top of any changes that are coming down the pike from Google. Like this is all we do. We're bike nerds that know, we're bike nerds and Google nerds. So you're in good hands if you let us help you with your ads.
Yeah, that comes up too. I always tell people that are concerned, and not many people, again, our fees are reasonable, but when they ask about that, it's like, I'm pretty sure we'll outperform those fees versus once a month you talk to a Google rep who will spend your budget faster than anybody in the history of man. So
Yes.
I'm confident in that, and it's fun. I like talking to you guys, and it's great that we only work with bike places. We only work with Workstand clients. We're very focused on that, and we can help you stand out in your market.
And I think what an important point about affordability is because it's scalable because we're on our platform. Having worked in an agency where every new client meant a whole new set, I needed to learn a website, learn CMS, all the things that we had to link in. And I was basically starting from scratch. Like we make a lot of the hard work a lot easier than any other agency could because this is our platform and we have access to customer support when needed. And we're just going to be able to be way more efficient, which is why we're able to make it as affordable as it is.
Perfect. I think that wraps it up. If you have interest in this, you can reach out to email podcast@workstand.com. You can leave us a comment if you're watching on YouTube. And if you want to reach the ads team, just do you want them to come directly to the ads team or should they just come through me or how do you want to do that?
They can shoot me an email anytime.
Matt.v@workstand.com. I'll put that in the show notes as well. Matt, this has been fun. Thanks for hanging out and we will see you around the Workstand.
Thanks for having me.